Democrats won't be able to debate just on a single issue. The party's national committee voted against single-issue debates, including one on climate change.
To stop single-issue debates, particularly on the issue of climate. As a candidate yourself, how do you feel about that decision?
I don't think it's a great decision. I mean, look, I think the DNC is micromanaging this process way too much. It feels to me like they're trying to pick the candidate. And I think for the DNC to say that the candidates can't engage in a climate debate, how does that possibly make sense? I think we should have a climate debate. We should have a healthcare debate. We should debate the issues that the American people want us to debate.
All right, so
not, what the DNC thinks we should debate.
Yeah, so we saw
are pushing for a climate debate among Democratic candidates. The DNC has just voted, and they have voted against allowing for a climate debate. So this is something that deserves a dedicated night of debate. And not only are they concerned about donors who might not like that debate, I think they're also concerned about the fact that you have a bold progressive like Bernie Sanders with an incredibly bold and progressive proposal with the Green New Deal, written in actual legislation this time, and doing juxtaposing that bold behavior with what you see from the weak sauce establishment Democrats, further exacerbates the damage done to people like Biden.
Anna makes a great point. This is literally an existential issue about whether the plan is going to exist or not. And if you think that it's not relevant that a lot of Democratic politicians still take money from the fossil fuel industry, you'd be wrong. I'm not saying it's dispositive and it's the only reason they did it, but it is among the factors, because what Tom Perez and other people at the DNC will get blowback on is, hey guys, if you have this giant debate or town hall where they're all talking about the problem, they're gonna soon, obviously, in that when it's not a 30-second answer, they're gonna get to the real problem, which is the fossil fuel industry buying off politicians. But remember, they buy off a lot of Democrats. So we don't want that conversation. Now, none of these news articles can talk about that, but that's part of the reality of why they made this decision.
Right.
Remember, the leader of the Democrats in the House is Nancy Pelosi, and she said it's a green dream or whatever they call it. So she doesn't want to do the Green New Deal. Democratic leadership does not want to do the Green New Deal. So why would they let the DNC vote to have a conversation where the Green New Deal would be discussed and popular? So they want to end that conversation because of the corruption.
Election Canada's warning to environmental groups. Why they're being cautioned about saying climate change is real.
It's absolutely unacceptable.
The complaints, consequences, and the confusion. Elections Canada has warned at least one environmental group that saying climate change is real or an emergency could be seen as partisan. The story has generated all kinds of reaction. Here's what Green Party leader Elizabeth May said.
This is lunacy, and Elections Canada is not a lunatic organization, so I trust they will clarify and eliminate this ruling.
So what exactly is the Elections Canada policy on groups that believe climate change is real and are outspoken about it? Our Abigail Beeman is looking into that in our top story tonight.
And demand better laws that protect our land, air.
Advocacy and education are key for environmental defense. But the nonprofit says even though that's their mandate, they'll have to kill paid social media content about climate change once the election gets underway, saying Elections Canada advised them since Maxime Bernier has made comments to the effect climate change isn't real, simply talking about what's proven in science could be seen as partisan.
It's unfortunate. I mean, climate change is not an opinion. Climate change is not something that someone should believe or not believe. I mean, it's an established scientific fact.
If they spend more than $500, they'd have to register as a third party, something Environmental Defense worries could jeopardize their charitable status.
If we were to register, I suppose we'd be admitting that we're doing partisan activity, and that could mean that we would lose our charitable status because it's strictly prohibited.
For some misguided legislation, we could be muzzling charities.
The David Suzuki Foundation is in the same boat, also worried about losing charitable status.
It was absolutely flabbergasting that some bureaucratic penciling could undermine the scientific consensus on climate change.
In terms of the guide, the political financing handbook, we've got election advertising handbook, we've got registration forms.
The small local nonprofit Ecology Ottawa is one of 39 groups across Canada that chose to register as a third party, even though it's a red tape nightmare. They're not a charity, but they were worried about blowback if they didn't register, which can include fines or even jail time.
We are a nonpartisan organization, but the fact that we're registering allows us to have those conversations, meaningful conversations about climate change, without needing to worry as to whether or not it ticks a box that says it might be interpreted as partisan.
Abigail, Elizabeth May, the Green Party leader, was pretty fired up about this today. Here's the analogy she used.
When doctors tell people they have to give up smoking, if Max Bernier were to announce tomorrow smoking is good for you, do those doctors have to register as a third-party organization in order to say what's true about medical science? This is lunacy.
Abigail, you spent today getting in touch with Elections Canada. Have they now clarified their policy?
Well, Donna, it's pretty baffling. Elections Canada told us they wanted to sit down to clarify things, but the spokesperson then said she didn't know what Environmental Defense was told.
In the election, if that becomes an associated issue, an issue that's associated with a party or a candidate, that would become issue advertising, and therefore it would become a regulated activity. They would have to register, yes.
But they say they've been advised by Elections Canada now that that is an issue because Bernier has spoken about it. Are you saying they have to wait until
so the election hasn't been called yet. We don't know now what is going to be an issue.
But you're not clearly telling me whether Environmental Defense was advised that they couldn't discuss climate change as fact, as science.
I don't have the answer for that because I don't know what was said. The Act does not deal with the validity or the worthiness of a position. It doesn't make exemptions for, well, you know, if an issue is a matter of scientific fact, it's not a real issue.
So bottom line is Elections Canada says if something becomes an issue, regardless of being science or fiction, well, then advertising rules apply. And they say if you're a group that could be affected by this, well, then read up online and contact them if you have any questions. And there are certainly still plenty of those. Donna?
Oh, yes, there are.
We're working with other political parties to get real policy changes and change the framework of how we do politics. Politics needs to change. It is not working in Vancouver, it's not working around the world, and what we need to do as Greens and everyone in this room is do their little bit to change how politics is done.
The BC Parks Foundation got support from all over the globe to raise enough money to buy the coastal property just in the nick of time.
You can only get to Princess Louisa Inlet up the BC coast two ways, by float plane or boat. And yet, 10,000 people manage to come here each year.
It's almost like a mecca. Like there's something spiritual about it. There's something incredible about it.
But this resplendent fjord was in danger of being marred by logging when 3 parcels of land came up for sale 2 months ago. That was when the BC Parks Foundation stepped in. The vendor offered to sell the land to them for $3 million, but only if they could come up with the money by the end of August.
British Columbians, people from across the country, people in Washington, we had people from Japan, Germany, started to reach out. And people say that, you know, we saw you on Global and we want to contribute.
And so it was that they reached their goal of $3 million, and with a few days to spare. Some of the 1,000 contributions were large, but many more were small.
It's a story of pensioners writing us checks for $10 saying, this is all I can contribute, but, you know, I really love what you're doing.
As a result, Princess Louisa Inlet will remain one of our coast's most spectacular wilderness jewels.
My first message to everyone was, you did it. You did it. It's just such a beautiful story of what people can do when they come together around their shared passion.